Welcome back, everybody, to the Starlight broadcast, yet another Star Wars podcast. As always, I'm Ted. I hesitated because Brad's not here. It's just me this time. So it's a mini episode because I don't want to do a full thing without Brad. But he's got some stuff going on this week. I just want to have, this is smack dab where we're interrupting a bit of the Andor April, even though by the time this comes out, it'll still be April, so it'll be an unfortunate pause towards the end of the Andor April. But Andor April was, season 1. I'm still happy with that. And by the time this comes out, the next batch of Andor episodes will be out, and Brad and I will have seen Revenge of the Sith in theaters. So I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to talk about the next time when we're both together. So this is definitely gonna be a bit different. I might cut this a little different. I'm not sure. I might just leave it completely untouched like how I do normally for the podcasts. I'm not sure. But yeah, very recently we had Star Wars Celebration in Japan for 2025, and I just wanted to have like an episode just to kind of cover what went down, what happened. So yeah, I just compiled a list of, a lot of the most relevant news. I hope I'm not missing anything. There's some news that came out, but it's things that I'm not too concerned about, too invested in. So I'm not really going to include that. I just want to include like some of the bigger stuff that grabbed my attention. If hopefully Brad agrees with this, next time, if he has anything else he wants to bring up, I'll put him on the soapbox, let him have his time to address anything. And we're going to get his thoughts on a lot of this stuff at the beginning of the next episode. So yeah, without further ado, I've got it organized like movies, TV shows, games, yada, yada. So let's just, let's start, I guess. First order of business, Mandalorian and Grogu movie trailer was shown at Star Wars Celebration. I don't want to talk too much about it just because it wasn't officially released and I don't know what I'm allowed to say without any troubles, but I did see it and it looks better than I was expecting. At least on it from a visual aspect, the season 3 of Mando, in more ways than one for me was a downgrade from the previous seasons, especially season 1. So that helped. I'm definitely still cautious about it because how do I word this? I think the story that Mando tells works better as a TV show, to have that time to keep things drawn out and that sort of stuff, but I mean, they can very obviously they can just shrink the story down, make it fit in a 1.5 to 2.5 hour movie. I could see this movie being like 2 hours 13 minutes. I could see it being something like that. if that's right, I'm gonna lose my mind because I don't think that's gonna be right. But yeah, so that movie looks good. It's got a 2026 release date, sorry. So I am excited for that. It's just I feel like it has a lot of pressure, seeing as it's the first new Star Wars movie to be in theaters since 2019's Rise of Skywalker, which was an experience for sure. Definitely something that was viewed by many people, me included. Little tangent, actually. I have a buddy of mine who I think when Rey and Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, he's no longer Kylo Ren at that point, when they kissed, I'm pretty sure he told me he walked out of the theater, which I understand, but at that point you have like 15 minutes left of the movie. I've always been like, why dip out at that point? You've already spent so much time. Like, that's just whatever. Anyways, second real big movie thing is, sorry, my cat is going crazy. Second real big movie thing is that Sean Levy's Ryan Gosling starring, I'm going to rephrase that. Sean Levy's movie starring Ryan Gosling, has been 100% officially announced, confirmed, with a May 28th, 2027 release date, and it is called Star Wars Starfighter. I'm pretty excited for this, but I'm also the most nervous for this out of most of the projects coming out, because Sean Levy is okay, I think. He made, I think the first Night at the Museum, or maybe the second one. I know he made one of the Night at the Museum movies. I'll have the text for which one it is up there. No, I'm not. I'm just gonna look it up. That's holy shit. Okay, holy shit. He directed all three. I did not know that. He had Game at one point, but Free Guy, I couldn't finish Free Guy. It wasn't for me. I just couldn't get into it. And Deadpool and Wolverine was fun, but I feel like it sort of ends at that. It was very much, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being negative right now, but I'm going to be honest with how I'm feeling. I felt like Deadpool and Wolverine was a lot more style over substance. Especially bringing Hugh Jackman back. It's cool. Hugh Jackman's back. Wolverine, he's got the costume. But, like, Logan was such an impactful ending for that character. And to just, like, undo it. I know you're not undoing it because it's a different variant of whatever and multiverse, yada, yada. But I don't know. Same with bringing back X-23. That one I'm not as against, but I don't know. I'm nervous. I hope there's more substance to this movie. If not, I hope it is, at the very least, just a very fun movie. With Ryan Gosling, I know in an interview a while ago, obviously I don't have the source, and I could be misremembering this, but I'm pretty sure, because he used to do some darker movies, and I think he said he's going to focus on doing movies he wants his kids to see, because I believe he has some younger kids, which I can totally respect, totally understand. So, knowing that this probably isn't going to be the craziest movie, hearing that the name is Starfighter makes me hope. I'm really hoping, guys, that this is sort of like a Top Gun Maverick in space movie. That would be the absolute dream, to get just absolute batshit crazy dogfights in space or on the planet, because, Disney money. The CG could look really, really good. And all of the dogfights in the new movies have been unreal. I think they've all been really top notch. Say what you want about Disney Star Wars. I'm a fan of most of it, but the visuals you can't diss. Those visuals are stellar. Yeah, so that's most of the movie stuff. Really, that's a lot of the movie stuff. I was kind of hoping for more, honestly. Just these two real big announcements. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Like, I looked it up, I double checked. But yeah, like, it's cool, it's exciting, but I would have liked some more news on Rey's movie, on the James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi movie, on the Simon Kinberg trilogy, stuff like that. Like, I would have preferred news on that, but we didn't. I guess it's just too far out. They're still in the script writing process, so I can understand that. Moving along to TV shows. We've got more news for TV shows than for the movies. I'm kind of fine with this. I think Star Wars is meant to be seen on the big screen, but it's definitely developed a solid footing in TV shows. So first on the agenda, we've got Star Wars Visions Season 3 confirmed. We're going back to the Season 1 roots, where instead of being international animation studios, it is back to just Japan with 9 different animation studios. Anime still animation. We've got the return of a few studios. I don't have the list of studios up in front of me, but off the top of my head, Kamikaze Doga and Studio Trigger, I believe, are returning. I feel bad I can't remember any of the other ones. That's okay. Kamikaze Doga did the Duel episode, which was a lot of people's favorite. And they are making a sequel to the Duel, which is my most anticipated episode. I really also want to read that book, Star Wars Visions: The Ronin. I've heard mixed things, but I still want to check it out for myself. I think that that episode was awesome. I've gone back and watched that more than any other episode of Visions. Yeah, so along with season 3 being confirmed, we have 3 episodes actually are confirmed sequels. We have a sequel to The Duel, we have a sequel to The Ninth Jedi, and I believe we have a sequel to the Village Bride episode. Peak. I'm very excited for all of those. I think it's definitely a smart idea to build off of something that's pre-established, because now it's got its own continuity, its own lore that it can draw from, and not being restrained by the canon Star Wars continuity and lore. They're able to kind of do whatever they want. Like, obviously Star Wars Ronin universe is adapting a much more like ancient Japan kind of Star Wars universe, which I think is really interesting, especially considering Star Wars was based on the Akira Kurosawa movies. That was a big inspiration for George Lucas, and blah 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 blah. So along with the Ninth Jedi sequel, we are also getting our first spin-off show. It is called Star Wars Visions Presents The Ninth Jedi, even though the sequel episode will not be called The Ninth Jedi. It's going to pick up, I guess, right where that second episode leaves off, and I'm really, really excited for that. I think that's a really cool universe. The way the kyber crystals interact with the wielder, I think is really cool, and their connection to the Force definitely dives into sort of that original Legends continuity with the kyber crystal reflecting your connection with the Force. Yeah, what else? Oh, we've got a couple things for Ahsoka Season 2. First of all, 8 episodes. All of them are written by Dave Filoni. I have mixed feelings about that. I really do like Dave Filoni a lot. Clone Wars. I haven't finished Rebels, but I'm over halfway through. I don't know what I'm going to get back around to, but I do like it. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Season 1 it starts off a bit more kiddie, but it gradually gets more mature with still some lighthearted adventures in there, and I do think it's fun. My thing, though, is how important a writer's room can be to have different perspectives come in with ideas for the story and for characters. And I am nervous that Dave Filoni is too protective of his characters, that he's not going to want anyone else to write for them. So that is a little bit concerning, especially because some of the issues I had with Season 1 of Ahsoka were the writing, and just the characterization wasn't inaccurate, because obviously it's his characters, but it's just not exactly what I thought, and I just don't know. I'd have to rewatch the show. I haven't rewatched the show since I haven't rewatched any of the show aside from the Anakin episode. But yeah, that'll come in its own time. But so we've got that. We've got Hayden Christensen confirmed to return as Anakin Skywalker in Ahsoka Season 2. I don't have a problem with Hayden Christensen coming back. In fact, I'm all for it. I love Hayden Christensen. I think he is fantastic. I genuinely, it's so gratifying to see him getting the love and respect now over the past few years that he should have gotten back in the past, when my age fan based section was too young to like have an online voice. So everybody who was talking about it was the original trilogy fans, and they were against a lot of the prequel stuff, and prequel fan growing up. Now I can be like, Hayden Christensen's awesome, put it out onto the internet. But seeing how prevalent he is in current Star Wars media, with, coming back for the Obi-Wan show, coming back for Ahsoka Season 1, now Ahsoka Season 2, it makes me annoyed, I guess. Not annoyed, but I'm not upset. I'm just below upset that they didn't bring him back for anything in the sequels other than a voice line. I think having Hayden Christensen there throughout the sequels, maybe to talk to Luke or to talk to Kylo, would have been really nice. Yeah, I think that would have been just more intriguing for that family dynamic, especially in, the Duel of the Fates script. They were going to have Luke Skywalker haunting Kylo Ren throughout the movie. Getting something like that. I think one of the original ideas for The Force Awakens was there was going to be a Force ghost for Anakin, and he was going to be like half Jedi Force Ghost and half Sith Force Ghost, and he was going to have like split personality between Anakin and Vader. Cool in concept, bad in practice. I don't think that makes any sense for his character at that point, because he, eradicated the darkness from within him. He was brought back to the light when he died. That's why, I'm not a fan of it, but that's why he's Hayden Christensen again, because that's when he was last brought to the light. Except that doesn't make any sense when you really think about it. I understand why they're doing it now, to be able to use Hayden Christensen as, to keep him young and to just have young Anakin and to be able to see more young Anakin. But when you think about it, he was brought back to the light before he died. So he should have been old Anakin when he's a Force Ghost. I understand why they didn't do that, but George Lucas did not change that in whatever after Revenge of the Sith came out, knowing that the franchise was going to turn out like this. Unless he had those plans to do the sequel trilogy and do, Hayden Christensen Force Ghost, and he was like, I'm going to plan this out. And then, we'll never know. We will never know, which is really unfortunate. I really spiraled there for a second. What else? We've also got Admiral Akbar confirmed for season 2, and he's apparently going to be going up against Snoke, which I'm really excited for.
All right, editing Ted here. I realized I said Snoke instead of Thrawn. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, I meant Thrawn.
I'm just fucking confused how that's gonna work. I am really excited for it though. I love when I like when they're able to bring in old like legacy characters and it makes sense. Like Mon Mothma in Andor is beautiful. She's one of the best actors in the show. She's fan-fucking-tastic. She just knocks it out of the park, and she is such an integral part to the show, and she makes so much sense being in the show. Yeah, I mean, so Akbar would be really cool. He got terrible death in the sequels. That really pisses me off, but it's whatever. Then we've also got, in relation to Ahsoka Season 2, we got our first look at Rory McCann. I've never heard it out loud, so I don't know. But our first look at him as Baylan Skoll after the tragic passing of Ray Stevenson. Knowing that they were friends in real life is going to make this hit all the more harder. Or all the harder. I don't know what you guys want from me. I'm not a talker. Regardless of how much I do talk. I'm not a talker. I don't words that well. Oh my god. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put a picture of that up, just because it looks pretty cool. Actually, I don't know if I can, because I don't know if they are officially released pictures yet. If there's an officially released picture, I'll put it up, but I do not want to risk anything happening, with legality and that sort of stuff. So maybe I won't put a picture up. But he looks good. He's got a bigger beard. But he's got the look in the eyes that I like. A bit more intense than I think Ray Stevenson had, but I still like it. Biggest piece of Star Wars television news for me, I would say, is the announcement of Maul Shadow Lord, which is going to be set pre-Rebels, post-Clone Wars. Which, I mean, honestly, there's a fucking 19-year... Nope, pre-Rebels? Yeah. Ezra's what? 15 when that show first starts? Right? 15 or 16? Because I know he's like a week older than Luke. And he's a pretty young teenager in that show when it first starts. So we've got, a long time we can fill in with this with this show. Sam Witwer returning as the voice of Maul. You gotta love to see it. He's fantastic. He understands the character so well. It seems there was a trailer shown, and I'm gonna try and be vague, but I might just say something and hope for the best, because who listens to this? We're fine. It seems as though they are recanonizing Darth Talon, and we're gonna see like Maul train her, which pretty interesting, pretty cool. I'm definitely excited to see how this goes. Seeing Maul in a position of power with like the crime syndicates and stuff. If this is before Solo, really excited for that. I would love to see multiple season. I would love to see multiple seasons of this show, and within those multiple seasons, see his rise and fall within the Crimson Dawn, and then maybe how he got to where he was when we find him in Rebels. That would be really, really, really cool. I understand there is something nice about blank spots in the tapestry that is the Star Wars universe. Like, it is cool to not know everything. But at the same time, like, Darth Maul is such an interesting character, and he went from a nobody in the Phantom Menace. He was just a cool-looking dude who could fight with a lightsaber, to this very deeply layered and complex character with a very rich development throughout the years. And I would just love to see more, as much of that as possible. We already know the beginning of his story. We know the end of his story. I would love to just fill in the middle. Some things can stay mysteries. How did Maz get Luke's lightsaber, Anakin's lightsaber, whatever? What species is Yoda? If we ever find out what species Yoda is, I'm done. I'm checking out of Star Wars, because that means they are creatively bankrupt and they've given up on everything. I don't think George Lucas even knows what species Yoda is. Like, I totally believe that he never even thought of it, and he's just like, we're not doing that. Like, he's just an alien. It's fine. Back on track. Maul, I'm excited for that. It's got Clone Wars animation style, and they really only just keep polishing it. So I'm very excited for that. Moving on, off of the shows, I believe, yes. I've got my list in front of me so I don't forget. Moving on, we got a few more things. Real quick, actually, before I get to the games, we are getting 2 manga adaptations of other Star Wars media. We are getting a manga. We are getting a manga adaptation of Timothy Zahn's Thrawn book from 2017. Very interesting pick. And then we're also getting a manga adaptation of Jedi Fallen Order, the video game. Super interesting. I'll probably throw up the Volume 1 cover arts were revealed. The art style for Fallen Order is something that I think I could get used to, but I don't know. It doesn't. Obviously, it's an anime sort of style, manga style, compared to 3D motion capture kind of thing for video games. But it doesn't look like, if you put this version of Cal in a different outfit and got rid of the scars, maybe, like, I wouldn't know that was Cal. When it comes to the Thrawn, you can tell that that's Thrawn, but mostly just because of the hair and the fit and the face. I mean, actually, now that that does actually look like Thrawn more so than the Cal looks like Cal. So yeah, I don't know. I'm interesting. I'm really curious why they're doing that, because they did 1 volume of a Star Wars Visions manga. It adapted 4 episodes and 4 chapters. There was an episode about, that bunny human character, the furry. I don't know. I didn't watch that one. I'm sorry. The Elder, I believe, with that old dude with the dual short sabers. I can't even remember. Let me look this up. Oh wow. Okay. All right. I looked it up. So we've got the chapter on the Elder, a chapter on Lop and Ocho, which is the bunny one. The 9th Jedi got a chapter, and then the twins got a chapter. Really interesting pick. I've looked through it. I've seen pictures of it online, and some of it looks a bit better than others. I don't know if it's the same artist in all of them. It does not seem to be. I'm just looking at 2. But they the Elder manga looks pretty accurate. I can't really remember what the Lop and Ocho episode looked like, since I did not watch that, because call me a fraud, that's okay. Ninth Jedi looks a little bit different, but still pretty similar. And the Twins, I feel like, has got to look. Well, no real pictures of it other than space. But that was a crazy episode. I'm really curious how they would have adapted that to manga. I think the Ronin episode would have been really cool. I hope they do another thing of this, because I think there are enough episodes in just season 1 to have like a full 2 manga thing. And then with season 3, you could do more. That would be cool. But yeah, manga for Thrawn and Fallen Order is really interesting. I'm a little uninterested but curious right now. We'll see how that goes. Maybe I get them. I haven't read the Thrawn books yet. That's actually not entirely true. I read the first Thrawn book, I think the 2017 one, back, maybe 2018, 2019, before I was in college. And I didn't finish it at the time because I used to be really bad at reading. I'm still bad at reading, but I'm getting better. And I remember liking it, but, I'll go back to it. All right, the last section we've got is for games. Just a few things. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. One more for shows. I put this in the wrong section. We've got Light and Magic Season 2 announced, which is behind the scenes and like just the behind the scenes of Star Wars through ILM and the advancements they made in visual effects and that sort of technology, which is really cool. For games, we've got more DLC confirmed for Star Wars Outlaws, with Hondo coming in, which is really cool. Yes, Hondo is coming in, and we've got confirmed Jim Cummings, who is also the voice of Winnie the Pooh, I believe, playing Hondo again, which is really, really cool. We've also then got Star Wars Zero Company announced, which is I'm going to read this because it is a single-player turn-based tactics games. I am curious because the only like single player turn based games that I've ever played are Pokemon, like the old Pokemon games. So really curious how this is gonna play. They've released some stuff and it looks like there's like customization you can have for like a lot of the characters. There's a droid, like an astromech, and you can, I think, make them look like exactly like R2, and then blah blah blah. Customize the colors and I think the dome part and stuff like that. There's like a regular droid, there's like a human, I know that, and all of those I think had some customization available, which seems pretty cool. It's not what I thought, if I was Disney, Lucasfilm, Star Wars, I would be like, hey, let's get Battlefront 3 going, guys. Let's surprise announce that here, or Jedi 3, let's put something out there for the next game. But no, I mean, I'm not gonna shit on it, but I'm just I don't know what to think right now. But yeah, so that's pretty much all of the big news from Star Wars Celebration this year. The next one is 2027 in Los Angeles. First time in LA since I believe the 2006 or something one. I actually just saw that online when I was gathering my notes. Yeah. What else? Before I go, I wanted to say one more thing. Oh, yeah. So, I don't know if we've ever mentioned it, but there is a Star Wars video game called Star Wars Eclipse, which had a trailer. Wow. Okay, so this trailer for Star Wars Eclipse released December 9th, 2021. Wow. 4 years ago this year, this game was announced. And then it has never been mentioned again. It's made by Quantic Dream. I've never played a single game of theirs. I don't even know what games they've made. All I can say is this trailer is like the coolest trailer I've ever seen. I've gone back and watched it every few months, every year since it's come out. I think it's really, really exciting. It's also set in the High Republic, which back in 2021, that was like brand new. So that was even more exciting. If you haven't seen the trailer, I highly recommend you go check it out. But what I do remember is when 2027 LA Star Wars Celebration was announced, Quantic Dream actually on Twitter, like, quote tweeted it, being like, "See you guys there. Hope you haven't forgot about us," something like that. So 2 more years and we'll get an announcement for a 2030 release date, something like that, which is crazy. I'll actually. So it's set during the High Republic. Star Wars Eclipse is an intricately branching action-adventure game that can be experienced in many ways and puts the destinies of multiple playable characters in your hands, created in collaboration between Quantic Dream and Lucasfilm Games. I have no idea what to make of that. No idea at all. That would be a fun episode to talk about the barely any information we have on this game and what we think it could be. Who knows? That's going to do it for this episode. If I pull up, how long has this been going? Almost 35 minutes. This will probably get trimmed down a bit, closer to 30, hopefully. This is turning out a little bit longer than I thought. I thought it was going to be like 15, 20 minutes max. But I do ramble a lot, very easily. So, yeah. I don't do the outros, so I don't really know. What does Brad say? Thanks for listening. Make sure to drink your blue milk. Have a great day in the galaxy. Transmission out.